I'm Grace Harper, 28 years old, and I will never forget limping into that Denver courtroom, the sound of my crutches echoing against the polished floor. My heart pounded as I faced my family sitting smugly, thinking they had already won. But their eyes widened when they saw me alive, standing tall despite the pain in my leg. Beside me stood a woman who made my father leap from his seat, pale, shouting, "Oh my God, it's her!" The room froze. They thought my future was buried in a hospital bed, left in a coma, abandoned. They believed they could steal my $10 million contract, my life's achievement. But they were wrong. Months before that courtroom showdown, I had walked out of a sleek Denver office tower, trembling as I clutched my signed contract. $10 million. My AI algorithm, a breakthrough in medical diagnostics, had landed me a deal with a major healthcare corporation. Years of late nights and endless coding had paid off. I was 28, a software engineer at the top of my game, and I couldn't wait to share the news with my family. I drove to our suburban home, heart racing with pride. When I stepped through the front door, my sister, 32, a project manager at my company, sat at the kitchen table, her eyes narrowed. I held up the contract and grinned. I did it. $10 million for my algorithm. Her lips twitched, not into a smile, but a grimace. Your algorithm? She snapped. You mean the one I've been overseeing? The one I pushed through meetings? Her voice dripped with venom, and I froze. I had always known she was competitive, always the golden child praised by our parents while I scraped for approval. But this was rage. I tried to explain it was my work, my code, my sleepless nights. She stepped closer, voice hissing. You think you're better than me, don't you? I backed away, hands raised. This isn't about you, I said, voice shaking. She wasn't listening. At the top of the stairs, her face inches from mine, she spat. You're nothing without me, then shoved me. I stumbled, caught air, and fell down the wooden steps. Pain exploded in my head. Darkness followed. When I opened my eyes, I was in a hospital bed, machines beeping. My head throbbed, my leg ached. The nurse's voice cut through the fog. You're awake. 2 weeks in a coma. I asked about my family. The nurse hesitated. No one's been here. Your parents called once, but they haven't come. My chest tightened. My sister I expected, but my parents? They said I brought this on myself, that I shamed them. Days dragged on, the hospital room a cage. No one visited. Then one morning, my sister appeared, arms folded, smirking. Still clinging to life, huh? You're holding everyone back. Pain flared as I asked, why are you here? She leaned closer, eyes glinting. Just making sure you stay out of my way, and left. Her words weren't just cruel. They carried intent. Later that week, my best friend slipped in, worried. Your sister's been telling everyone at work she's taking over your $10 million contract, acting like it's hers. My stomach churned. My algorithm, my work, was being stolen. I checked my bank account. Red alert. Account frozen. A court order cited concerns about my ability to manage funds. I'd just woken from a coma, and someone painted me as incompetent. My sister's smug confidence and her boasts clicked into place. This wasn't just abandonment, it was deliberate. A week later, a lawyer appeared in my hospital room, carrying a thick folder. Someone's trying to take everything, he said. Legal forms declared me incapacitated. My signature was forged. My sister's name was all over it. That afternoon, a doctor came. Your medical records were altered after admission, she said. Entries exaggerated neurological issues. Someone wanted it to appear I'd never wake up. I remembered her controlling ways since childhood, taking my toys, manipulating my parents, making me the problem. Now, she'd escalated to erasing me completely. But my lawyer and the doctor believed in me. We were ready to fight. Still weak but fueled by anger, I checked out of the hospital against advice and arranged a meeting with my sister at a Denver cafe. I tucked a recorder in my pocket. She smirked. Didn't think you'd make it. I played along, asking about work. The contract's moving forward, she said. It's mine now. You weren't going to make it happen from a hospital bed. I clenched my jaw. The recorder captured her admitting she was stealing my $10 million deal. Back in my temporary apartment, I met with a private investigator my lawyer recommended. She was sharp, no nonsense, and skilled at uncovering secrets. "I've been digging into your sister's finances," she said, spreading bank statements across the table. My breath caught as she pointed to a series of payments, large sums wired to a colleague at my company. "This man received $10,000 from your sister's account," she said. "He had been forging company documents to make it appear that my sister was the lead on my algorithm." My blood boiled. She wasn't just taking credit, she was paying to rewrite history. Later that day, my best friend called urgently. "I found something you need to see," she said, forwarding internal company emails. My sister had written to our boss, "With Grace out, I'm stepping in to replace her. The contract's in good hands." Another email bragged about her vision for the algorithm, as if I never existed. My hands shook reading her words, each one a betrayal. My friend warned, "She's been planning this for weeks. Everyone at work thinks she's the hero." Determined, I contacted the hospital administration to confirm the doctor's warning about altered records. The administrator pulled my file. "There's evidence of unauthorized changes," she admitted, voice tight. Entries exaggerated my condition, suggesting months of incapacity. Only a few staff members had access, but the alterations came through a legal channel, someone exploiting court systems to manipulate my records. My mind flashed to my sister's connections. This wasn't just about the contract, it was about keeping me out of the picture entirely. With evidence in hand, I sat with my lawyer in his Denver office. "We're building a strong case," he said. "Fraud, conspiracy, document forgery, everything points to your sister. The cafe recording, the emails, the financial trail, and altered medical records will all be presented in court." I nodded, tracing the edge of the table, chest tight. Going to court meant facing my family, the people who betrayed me. Dr. Price, the doctor who reviewed my records, confirmed she'd prepared a detailed statement. "Unauthorized changes exaggerated your coma and suggested permanent incapacity," she explained, holding charts. This wasn't an accident. Her words fortified my resolve. I recalled my sister at family events, always praised, my achievements ignored. My parents' favoritism fueled her ambition. But now, the truth would emerge. The trial day arrived. The Denver courtroom buzzed with tension. I sat beside my lawyer, hands clasped. Daniel, my lawyer, addressed the judge. "We have undeniable evidence of a conspiracy to defraud my client." He presented the cafe recording. My sister's smug voice echoed, "It's mine now." Gasps rippled through the gallery. Next, forged company documents showed how my sister and her accomplice had falsified records to claim my algorithm. I glanced at her across the room, pale but defiant. Daniel handed the judge emails my best friend uncovered, where my sister bragged about replacing me. The evidence stacked, airtight. Then Dr. Price testified calmly, medical records were altered to exaggerate Ms. Harper's condition to justify court orders against her. The judge's eyes narrowed. Truth was unraveling. My sister tried to defend herself, claiming I was unstable and unfit to lead. Her voice trembled under scrutiny. Her accomplice, Mark, stammered, "I was just following orders." The courtroom's tension tightened as my parents watched in shock, disbelief painting their faces. Their complicity, long hidden, was exposed. Daniel called me to the stand. My voice steady, I described my work on the AI algorithm, the years of effort, the fall down the stairs, and waking in a hospital abandoned by my family. I spoke of discovering the plot to strip me of my rights. "They thought I'd stay silent," I said. "But I'm here for justice." Silence filled the courtroom. My sister's confidence crumbled. My parents avoided my gaze. The power shifted. The judge deliberated. Finally, she ruled, "The evidence is overwhelming." The defendant orchestrated a calculated scheme to defraud Ms. Harper of her intellectual property and financial rights. 4 years for my sister for fraud and conspiracy. Mark received 2 years for his role in forging documents. Regarding my parents, she continued, "Their enabling of this scheme warrants a civil lawsuit for damages." Relief washed over me as the courtroom emptied. My family left in disgrace. My sister's defiance had cracked. Mark shuffled away, head bowed. My parents faced the consequences of their favoritism. The contract was restored to me, my name cleared. More than that, I reclaimed my strength. Walking out of the courthouse, Denver's sky bright above, I felt free. Justice had been served. I began a new chapter, moving into a small apartment overlooking the city skyline. I cut ties with my family. No calls, no visits, no approval seeking. My sister, my parents, all belonged to a past I no longer needed. I didn't gloat at their downfall. I felt relief they could no longer harm me. Determined to help others, I invested $500,000 from my contract into a Denver-based foundation for victims of familial abuse, providing legal aid, counseling, and safe housing. At the launch event, I addressed the crowd. No one should feel alone in their fight. The foundation turned my pain into purpose, ensuring others had the support I lacked. As I settled into my home, I reflected on the journey. My family tried to erase me. My sister with schemes, my parents with indifference, but their actions only made me stronger. From a coma to courtroom, each step was a battle. I'd learned justice isn't just winning, it's standing up. My algorithm, my pride, back in my hands, I planned its next phase. The biggest lesson wasn't revenge. It was self-reliance. I didn't need my family's validation. In that hospital bed, abandoned and betrayed, I found my strength. No one could take my future unless I let them. Looking over Denver, lights sparkling below, I knew I was enough. I was ready to build a life on my terms. With my legal battles behind me and my contract restored, I finally felt a sense of clarity and control. The weight of my sister's betrayal, my parents' indifference, and the months of uncertainty that followed my fall began to lift. I had reclaimed not just my $10 million contract, but also my dignity and my life. Each step forward reminded me that the strength I had always sought from others was actually inside me all along. I focused on my AI project, determined to expand its impact. The algorithm I had developed wasn't just a personal triumph anymore. It was a tool that could change lives, improve medical diagnostics, and save patients worldwide. I threw myself into coding, refining, and testing, fueled by the lessons learned from the past months. My work became more than just a career. It was a mission. The foundation I created for victims of familial abuse began to take shape. I met with counselors, legal advisors, and community leaders to ensure our programs would provide tangible help. Seeing the first few families find shelter, support, and hope was profoundly healing. My own experience of betrayal and abandonment had become a catalyst for something meaningful. The pain I had endured was no longer a chain. It was a bridge for others to cross towards safety and justice. Even with my life moving forward, the scars of my family's betrayal lingered. I often thought of my parents, their faces etched with shame in the courtroom, and my sister, now serving her prison sentence. But anger no longer consumed me. I had learned to transform resentment into resolve. My sister's ambition had tried to destroy me, but it had only revealed my resilience. My parents' favoritism had tried to define my worth, but I had redefined it myself. Every day, I reminded myself that self-reliance was the ultimate power. No one could erase my accomplishments or diminish my value. I was no longer seeking approval from those who had failed me. I was building a life grounded in my own principles, guided by my own courage, and fueled by the knowledge that I could overcome any obstacle. As months passed, my career soared to new heights. Major hospitals and healthcare providers integrated my AI algorithm, recognizing its accuracy and efficiency. I was invited to speak at conferences, sharing not only the technical achievements but also the story of perseverance behind them. My personal journey became an inspiration to many, showing that setbacks, even the most traumatic ones, can be catalysts for extraordinary growth. I also strengthened bonds with people who truly cared about me. My best friend, colleagues, and mentors. Their support reminded me that family isn't only defined by blood. It's defined by loyalty, care, and mutual respect. I had finally found the kind of relationships that nurtured growth rather than stifled it. Sometimes, I still remembered the Denver courtroom, the tension, the fear, the triumph. I remembered my sister's smug confidence, my parents' shock, and the moment justice was declared. But rather than dwelling on the past, I focused on the lessons it had taught me: vigilance, self-worth, and the importance of taking control of my own destiny. Looking back, I realized the entire journey had prepared me for more than just legal victory. It had prepared me for life, for leadership, and for the responsibility of using my knowledge and resources to make a positive difference. The $10 million contract was significant, but the real victory was reclaiming my agency, my voice, and my future. In my quiet moments, I reflected on how far I had come. From the hospital bed, abandoned and betrayed, to leading a foundation, running a groundbreaking AI project, and living independently. I felt gratitude for the people who stood by me, anger for those who tried to break me, and an unwavering determination to keep moving forward. I had learned that true strength comes not from being untouched by hardship, but from facing it head-on and refusing to be defined by it. The past no longer controlled me. It informed me, strengthened me, and inspired me. Every line of code I wrote, every family I helped, and every decision I made was a testament to resilience. As I stood in my new apartment, looking out at Denver's skyline, I smiled. The journey had been painful, but it had also been transformative. My sister, my parents, and their betrayals were chapters one had closed. I had reclaimed my life, my accomplishments, and my sense of self. I was ready for whatever came next. Confident, capable, and unshakable. And as the city lights glittered below, I finally understood. No one can take your future unless you allow it. I was Grace Harper, survivor, innovator, and fighter. And my life, my destiny, and my achievements were entirely my own.